I mean, I don't know. Someone went riding on a dragon. I didn't really think too much of it,
Is,
but
is this
No,
never ending?
don't
Is this never ending
think
story
about.
here or what?
Okay, wait a
I
minute.
mean, come on. God bless America.
With your
never
best
ending
friend
story.
Trey Sterling and Matt, the film Schmucks.
Hey guys, welcome back to the Film Schmucks. We have a doozy today. We watched Shang-Chi or Shang-Chi, however you want to say it. And I know Matt has some stuff to say about it, and I know I definitely have something to say to it about it because boy oh boy, I know Sterling's not gonna be here this week. It might be up to Matt and I. So Sterling, what do you think?
Oh, okay. I'm never usually the first one, but this is a nice change of pace. Anyway, I actually really enjoyed this movie a lot. Um, I think I only have some slight nitpicks here and there, but overall, I think the choreography was great, and that's kind of what I wanted in this movie was good martial arts, and not just good martial arts, but good filmmaking. The way it was shot, I think that did it very well. And I also think the fantasy, some of the lore, the fantasy was actually really interesting, and I got a lot more than I anticipated. So overall, pleasantly surprised. And yeah, I think it's actually one of the better Marvel movies, probably the last like couple of years. So yeah, playing with both of them.
I know Trey wants to dig right into you and tell you you're a schmuck, but that's what the show's about. Trey is going to be disappointed, not just in the movie, but in me, because I thought this was a good movie too. Trey, you're turning heel this by yourself this week,
Yeah,
my friend. I thought it was pretty
no,
good. I think I don't know if I'd go so far as Sterling, but I did think it was pretty good. I have some nitpicks, but a lot of times there's things in movies that will I'll go that thing almost ruined the whole movie or whatever. There's some things in this movie they didn't ruin the
Yeah.
movie, but there were some tone shifts that and things that I was a little bit like I don't know, but Sterling said it great when he said that all I expected from this movie. I know I'm just jacking what Sterling said, but all I expected from this movie was I wanted to see some cool kung fu, and it seemed like they were really doing some homage to kung fu movies. Even some of the ones we grew up with, like Hero and stuff. There was some just good martial arts, and some of the fantasy elements. We're adding to that. I have some nitpicks, but we'll get to it later. I thought it was pretty good, and it got me. It was one of those ones in this phase that's kind of getting me back into the Marvel universe, baby. Haven't seen Black Widow yet.
Uh,
I want to watch it, but I just wanted to say that before anyone spoiled anything.
oh, this was definitely better than Black Widow, and Black Widow is not the bottom tier of Marvel. And let me get this out of the way. That was all just joking. I sent them a little picture last night after I
Yeah,
saw it just
I
to
forgot I was gonna
rile them up,
mention.
and like it was super meh. No, I enjoyed this movie a lot. No heel
You're
this week.
trolling?
Just trolling. Yeah, I
Oh,
really enjoyed this movie,
I'm
and
quitting.
I was
you really fooled me. I was like, I thought you were gonna lay the smack down, and I thought we were gonna have to be like on our defenses, put some dragon armor on this bitch.
I do have one gigantic nitpick, and then a few others you might remind me of. I really wish had I was watching the movie and something happened. Like I'll
Okay,
get my big one so we can fight. Let's get this one. This is a
just
big
get
one.
into
Let's
it.
fight over this one.
Do you want to fight or do you want to
When
do it later? Then big nip. Oh, just do it. Just do it.
let's just get it over with because there's a lot of positive in this movie. When the dragon comes out of the water, do you guys know what I'm talking about?
Yeah,
After after
I'm with you so
after
far.
Shang Chi is floating in the water and they come
Yeah,
face to
yeah,
face in the water, and then the dragon flies out of the water, right? And he's eating the little creatures in the air,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
And then all the people battling are like in the awe looking at it. I literally was like, he better not be riding this dragon. I swear to Mother Earth if he's riding this dragon. And sure enough, literally 2 seconds later, they zoom in on the dragon and he's riding the mic. I just had the biggest eye roll of my life.
I feel like
I
you.
could not handle what I can handle less and less cheese in my life with new stuff. Obviously there's cheese and other stuff in the past that I enjoy. But my
Shang
God,
cheese.
the cheese was overflowing. I didn't have any nachos to even eat with this cheese. Come on, guys. Try to back it up if you
I,
can, because I did
Uh,
not like
I don't agree with that. I don't know. I didn't take it as cheesy. I I don't know. To me, I just kind of expected it,
yeah.
and it's. I mean, I don't know. Someone went riding on a dragon. I didn't really think too much of it,
it.
but
Is this
No,
never ending?
don't
Is this never ending
think
story
about.
here or what?
Okay, wait a
I
minute.
mean, come on. God bless America.
Never Ending Story is a good movie. I don't know what you're trying to say.
I don't. I'm just saying here,
Oh
boys.
boy.
Matt,
Whew.
what?
No, I was gonna say I'm probably a little in between. I didn't think it was terrible or ruin the movie or anything like that, but it was part of what I was saying. With there was a little bit of a tone shift in the movie, which is
Yeah.
it got very fantasy very fast. Like it went from like a good, I don't know where it was. 3/5 of the movie was still fairly grounded. I mean, as grounded as this movie can be. You have Wong fighting Abomination and shit. But what I mean is
I
most
don't
of the
think that was Abomination, but yeah.
oh, that was Abomination.
It
So
was?
yeah, I don't know if it's confirmed, but I was like, that looked like Abomination, but I'm like, well, he's dead or whatever. And then I looked it
In
up,
the
and
trailers, it looked like him, but it looked like some orc.
all the articles, I know it didn't look right in the movie, but all the
Yeah.
articles I was seeing said that it was Abomination, but maybe they were just bullshitting because it looked like him or something.
Okay.
Yeah.
My bad.
I don't know if that's confirmed.
I don't think.
Let us know in the comments. The movie, the best part of the movie, which was the kung fu fighting and all the awesome, you said it best, the cinematography and everything. There were some shots that were just really like awesome, and shots that were like beautiful, and it was great. But once they enter that maze and go into that other world, it's Narnia time. You know what I mean? You have the creatures and stuff, and that's fine.
Yes.
But I agree with Trey that when it gets to the point when he came out with the dragon, I even said this to Christy when we were talking about it after the movie. It was that shift itself of like, we have a guy riding on the back of a dragon. It took me a second to adjust, to be like, okay, this is the movie. And I was fine after, but it was a little bit of a thing where I was like, oh, like I did not expect this. I'm not saying it's much different than what was already going on. We had strange creatures and we had magic and we had the rings. There's just something about the imagery that was a little bit like, it took me a second to go like, okay, I'll, let me find, like Trey said, I didn't have any nachos to eat them. I was like, I can find some nachos, but it's going to take a minute. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, so I didn't feel that way in that particular scene like Trey did. I did, however, kind of felt similar whenever that creature showed up that Trevor was having as a pet. This thing that had no face and the wings.
I love
that was
that.
bizarre. Yeah.
No. I loved it. I'm just saying, I kind of felt the same with Trey. Like, wait, what is going on? Like, this is kind of weird.
Well,
So
totally, Sterling. I was like, Ben Kingsley shows up. Awesome. He had one or two many jokes that didn't land, but that's okay because a lot of them did.
That's true. However, I think as far as delivery, Ben Kingsley did such a good job delivering his line.
Yep.
That it worked.
I gotta say,
I'm just saying that the creature. I love the creature. That was the part where Ben Kingsley evened it out in that scene. Where I was like, what the hell is going on here? He's here. There's a creature with no face. Like, I was so confused, but I was in it because it was funny. Because Ben Kingsley, like you said. Sorry, Matt.
Well, it was unexpected because I thought they would mention it a little bit because they do when he's at the dinner table and the dad's like, yeah, there was some schmohawk over there in America who, called himself named himself after a chicken and took my name or whatever. And I was like, oh, that's funny. They're kind of referencing the Iron Man 2 or Iron Man 3 thing. And then when he was actually in there, I was like kind of shocked. But to me, it was funny because his monologue there, telling his story and stuff, it's funny because it's sort of them making fun of the fact that they realized that was a mistake in Iron Man 3. Like, and I thought it was funny that it was so self-aware. And then I think Ben Kingsley, everyone was annoyed in the movie, like, what? This is such a disappointment. It's this guy. And I think it's great that we got to see that character again totally redeem himself, where he's like the funniest part of this movie. Was pretty cool. I want to say this, unless you guys have something to say about that.
Oh, Sterling said it best. Ben Kingsley, his delivery,
Great, yeah.
just a superb actor. And like I said, there's one or two jokes that were like in the middle of like when they show up to Narnia, like you said, Matt, that he said. I'm like, okay, that didn't land at all, but 90% of his jokes landed. And
Yeah.
but maybe you'll mention it later. But when the creature comes and finds him, and you think he's dead, like I cracked up.
Yeah, that got me. That got me. That was one of the times that made me
I'm
laugh.
acting. Get down.
Yeah, his delivery was so good. Like, it's so
Yeah.
funny. You know what? One thing, Marvel movies in general are pretty good about this, and this movie was good about it too. They didn't ever they like Marvel movies. They have a lot of jokes actually, and some movies, if they're a little more funny, like Guardians of the Galaxy, there's a lot of like quick jokes, but they're pretty good about just moving on. They don't really sit in a joke for very long, which for these types of movies, I actually think is good because, like you said, Ben Kingsley, he had a lot of different jokes and funny lines, but it always kind of moved quick to the next thing. So when they didn't land, you just didn't notice it. It kind of just moved on. Because I can't even think of the bad jokes. I can only think of the good jokes. So it's interesting.
Yeah, and I kind of agree with. I can't remember who said it, but there's definitely tonal shifts for sure. And I think maybe a few times that could have detracted my experience. But I also think like a lot of times, especially during the dramatic moments, I don't remember a joke being put in that would
Yeah.
undercut the dramatic moment happening. And that's what you want to avoid is undercutting
Yes.
drama. And so I think this movie did a solid job with that. Although um, there were a couple of times, even though I thought she was funny most of the time, Aquafina I thought was pretty good in this movie overall. But there were a couple of times maybe that the tonal shift was a little weird.
Yeah.
Whenever she would try to make some kind of funny comment. But
Yeah.
yeah,
I think she was fine. But
Mhm.
when the old lady that didn't speak at the end was handing her a bow and arrow, I'm like, they better not turn her into Hawkeye. And oh my god, it wasn't as a grand, saving the day as I was hoping it would be, which was good for me because I was like, she better not save the day, and she didn't. She just helped save the day.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
why is she even having a bow? And like, why is she have her like almost die? Like, don't have her shoot be a part of it. Like that was out of place. That's what I'm trying to say. It was way out of place having her pick up a weapon.
Well, I mean, they laid up to it a little bit. I think it was well, and I guess it was good. She had her little story, right? And there's the kind of the parallel of the just taking the shot and doing something with her life or whatever.
yeah,
But I see what you
And that's-
mean. I see what you mean, though. It was a little unnecessary or whatever. I did like her though in the movie. I think I liked her more in this than I did in. We didn't review this on Film Schmucks, but Raya and the Last Dragon. Did you guys see that?
no,
yeah, that's exact. Oh my gosh,
She plays the
I'm like,
dragon
is
in
this
that
Raya
movie.
the Last Dragon 2? What's going on here?
Well,
Like, I was
she
really
plays
thinking
one of the main characters in that movie, and her voice
the dragon.
is good for cartoons and stuff. So she does good voiceover.
Raya.
But in that movie. She plays this kind of
Or the dragon.
kooky dragon, and she is a little much, like at times where it was almost annoying.
yeah,
And in this movie, she kind of teeters on that, but I just never found myself getting too annoyed. I thought she was actually like a pretty good fit,
no,
especially since Shang Chi is more serious. It worked pretty
yeah,
well.
She's pretty balanced. That was good for the
Yeah.
director. Like the director, that was all the director. Like she could have been way over the top, and
Yes.
they brought her down. So that was
Yeah.
I
good.
see.
And I want to say
No,
this. Sorry, Sterling, go ahead.
No, sorry, scratch that. It doesn't matter anymore. You continue.
What do you mean? Spill your
No.
beans.
No, it was just going to be repetitive, so just go.
Okay.
All right, that's
Yeah.
on you.
Ray of the Last Dragon sucked. We get
Leave a comment if you wanted to hear what Sterling was going to say.
yeah, the guessing
Um,
game. We can.
So no.
Trying to be
So I want to. So speaking of them and their dynamic, about 10 minutes into this movie, I was actually a little bit like, literally, I had the thought in my head. I'm like, oof, I think this might end up being Ant-Man and Wasp level. You know what I mean? I'm like, I'm like, this might be lower tier Marvel. I don't know what's going on. I
What?
didn't like the music. No, I'm wait till the end because I'm telling you, I didn't. So I thought that for a second, but the music, just I can't just listen. I thought it was gonna be bad, right? Is what I'm saying. Ant-Man and the Wasp, but it was. It ended up I was like, I don't know if I like the music. It's playing that song, that like rap song while the opening. I'm like, is it just gonna be how much of them screwing around? I like that this movie got to the action pretty quick because if it would have gone any longer, the opening, I probably would have been annoyed by it. But it was the perfect length where like I kind of knew because they were on that bus, and I saw the trailer, of course. So I'm like, oh wait, isn't there a big bus fight? So as soon as I saw that, I was like, okay, that was pretty good. It was a pretty short opening before it got into the action.
Yeah. No, I think the action sprinkled very nicely throughout this film, and I think that it definitely helps the pacing overall. So, what?
Oh
Are you
my
still
God.
mad?
I
Are you
was
still mad?
okay.
He's not mad. He's shocked. I could tell.
I'm
Okay.
shocked. Well, at first I thought you were talking about Ant-Man, the original, which is by
Love it.
far better than this. By far better than
Yeah,
this.
Ant-Man's great.
And Ant-Man and the Wasp, I was thinking like I didn't do the research. I was wanting to do the research where I would put this. It would be this movie would be in the bottom half for me. That goes to show how much good films they have made. I mean, Kevin Feige and company.
Yeah.
Like, my goodness.
It's sort of
But
like we were talking. It's like with Mel
this would be
Brooks, where we were saying.
it'd be like there's four sections. The number four is the worst. It'd be in section 3 for me. And Ant-Man and the Wasp is I would have to watch out Man and the Wasp again. It's right there with that movie, and I like that Man and the Wasp. But I was shocked that you first thing I've heard that you didn't like that movie. So
Well, I didn't dislike it. I actually think it's the same thing you're saying. It's like I can't really name a Marvel movie that I hated or really extremely disliked. It's just that if I have to rank them, Ant-Man and the Wasp was lower into me.
Okay.
But it was still fine. I mean, I didn't think it was terrible. And we need to do that sometime. Just do a whole Marvel breakdown of what we think our favorite movies are. But yeah, I would say that the movie itself as a whole movie might not be top level Marvel to me as far as one of my favorites ever. But the character Shang Chi, as far as like a badass character, he might be one. Like he definitely might be one of my favorites as far as just being a cool character. Like the rings, the kung fu. Like I think he's probably in my top 4 Marvel characters for sure.
Oh, yeah, there was just some very creative moves that he did, especially with the rings against his dad. I thought that last fight was so cool with just the amount of moves, the different kind of subset of moves that they would use with the rings. And now, I want to go back a little bit because the actual opening, I actually kind of like the actual opening with Shang-Chi's mother and father.
Oh right, I forgot about that. I'm sorry.
Yeah. I like how they met. They met, after fighting basically, and I just thought that was kind of a cool way to kind of connect a little bit to the overall story of the family of Shang-Chi. And I think this movie definitely, even though like minutes wise, it doesn't spend like a whole lot of time with like backstory because in a movie set, it's more limited compared to like a show. I do think they use the time very well as far as establishing his family and especially the relation between the mother and Shang-Chi. I actually got kind of emotionally attached to, and I thought it was done pretty solidly.
Yeah, I didn't mind the flashbacks. Actually, like we talked about, like with Free Guy, it was kind of awkward at the beginning with going back and forth between the real world and the game. So he meets his sister, talks about his sister, and they show him leaving her. Those were pretty. It was pretty. I think it was really well edited and put together. So I think that's one of its positives.
I maybe it's because the floor is slippery in here, but I think my heel just turned because I totally disagree with you guys on that. I think they did way too much with the flashbacks in this movie. There's too many flashbacks and they were too long. And here's the thing. Here's literally what happened. The dad meets the mom. The mom dies. The kids train.
The mom beats him, whatever.
Yeah, I'm just getting the basics. He meets the mom and they fight. I know there's details to it, but I'm saying as far as events, that's all that happens. And then I kept feeling like it was the flashbacks. I'm like, I'm interested in the movie that's happening right now. I thought there was. I'm not saying they didn't need the flashbacks. The mom and the dad meeting was good. The mom dying, it's all good. But I was sitting there like, this must take up like at least 20 minutes of the movie, 25 minutes. I'm like, this is a lot of flashbacks in this movie. And I'm like, if they would have cut that down a little bit, I would have been way happier. I love the dad going and killing the fucking mobsters and stuff, but it was just, it felt like it was a little long.
That's right. I'll agree with you with that scene with the mom dying. I thought it was so cheesy seeing these gangsters show up. I'm like, where's the security? And I forget at that point where he gave up everything.
Yeah.
And then like when they want to confront him, the actual guy, not the wife and kids.
Someone's gonna die.
Yeah, but can't you just wait for him to show up? Take them hostage, and So it was kind of like
also,
plot. Move the plot forward. So I don't like that.
Yeah,
I'm with you on that.
I would change my mind, by the way, about the flashbacks being too long, but the sons of bitches, I thought we were gonna see the mom fucking airbend and fight like 30 guys, and I was like, yes, more kung fu. And the fact that you just hear in the background while he's watching out the window, like, this is bullshit. I want my money back. You can't cut a whole fight scene out that we could have seen, because the first half of the movie, I'm like, shit, it's really delivering. There's some kung fu here. By the end of the movie, I was like, because the last half of the movie was so fantasy that there wasn't any more kung fu fights. There was just shooting lasers at each other. And that was a disappointment to me. I was like, these fights are so good. They should have had just a couple of more. Like, I thought Wow. Let me bring it back down. My piss was coming to a boil, but let's bring it down because I had another nitpick I wanted to get into, which was, I'll save it because I'm sure one of you guys will bring it up.
Okay. Well, here's mine. Here's another nitpick. I'm with you. You're opposite of us about flashbacks, which you kind of turned me on there for it. I'm totally opposite of Sterling. I very much dislike the beginning because visually they told us what we needed to know. I don't need 800 pages of notes for me to read. We go to Fantasy Island and they're speaking English. I just speak English the whole time. I'm trying to think about, like, do I need to? I'm like, I can read, but come on, this is ridiculous. They would switch most of the beginning. It was all Chinese or whatever they're saying. Then they would do a little bit of English. Then they'd go back. I'm like, just pick a side, my friends. Either make the whole movie this so I get used to it. Like, I was really upset about it because I love the visual. I love the visual.
Either make the whole movie this so I can decide to not watch it, or do English.
Yes.
No, it didn't bother me too much. But I'll say this: Christy will agree with you because we brought Ezra, so we got a 7-year-old, and he can read sight words and stuff, but he's still learning to read. This dialogue is going quick, and Christy keeps like, I see her leaning way over there. I'm like, what the hell is she doing? I realize she's having to read the subtitles so this kid knows what's going on. And eventually, even Ezra was like. Even he was like, you don't have to read them. I'll pick it up. Like, he literally said that to Christy. He's like, it's too much. It's too much.
Okay, here's what I thought. The person sitting next to me is dyslexic. All right? Do these movies not care about the dyslexic community? Do they not care about people that have problems with this, about reading a screen? They're just there to try to watch a nice movie. Like, I was getting mad about it because I know several people with dyslexia. Every once in a while I get it, but mainly with numbers. But it really pissed me off, honestly. I'm like, Marvel, you know better. Like, this is a broad audience, kids. You said. I'm like, that really kind of took me out because I'm like, because I didn't say anything to her until like the grandma said, "Are you gonna marry him?" Like that was the most important thing to tell
Yeah,
the
yeah,
person
yeah.
next to me.
Yeah.
Oh, because
And it never came to fruition.
They were visually telling you the story. The dad meets the mom.
Yeah, yeah.
The baby shows up.
You
Like
can
they're
kind of tell
visually
that
saying
that's
it.
like, and that's actually an upside to the movie is that even if you weren't reading the subtitles, you could actually understand pretty well what's going on.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, I don't. I honestly don't
And
really
you're
agree.
distracted. Sterling, you're in your own little world. Matt and I are on the same page, kid.
yeah, all right then.
Yeah, it's like, why do we need to choose to either see
I
the
don't.
beautiful visuals
I think I
or read?
disagreed. I think I disagree. Probably with you because I don't. It's. I mean, it would be weird if they didn't speak Chinese. So
Yeah. Okay. Can I just say my point?
yeah.
I understand what you're saying, Trey, but you're wrong. Anyway, so
You're dead wrong.
no, to me it made it immersive the fact that the first like 10, 15 minutes of it was just in Chinese. Because
How's
annoying.
again,
reading? Wait a minute. Well, sorry. Go ahead.
what?
Well, it's just
No,
reading subtitles is the opposite of immersion.
no, 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 no,
Yeah.
no. What I'm saying is that to me in the story, you're hearing the mother talk to Shang Chi
In their
in Chinese,
language. Yeah, yeah.
and
I agree.
and at the time, Shang Chi's dad is talking to his eventual wife, and the only language they speak is Chinese. So it's like to me, it made sense. So that's all I'm gonna say.
Why do they have to be, saying like a crap ton of word? Like they could be short and concise with their language, like 3 or 4 words. They can get their point across. But it felt like
This
I
is a
was
whole
reading
other debate. So
paragraphs per like
Well,
per. Like I was like, what in the world?
this is a
well,
whole issue.
China, I know, but let's be real about it. There's
What?
also Chinese people who don't speak English. So you get caught in a bind here. It's like, if you're going to talk about Marvel's broad audience, 80% of it's Chinese. What are we talking about here?
We got a special referee right now because Matt's 50-50. I'm one way, Sterling's the other way. What do you want to say?
All right, so
Okay.
Oh my god.
Trey, what are you doing?
Getting out of the way for you.
Anyway, doesn't make any sense what you're doing, but okay, I will go on. So the beginning of the movie, they started off with subtitles in their language, which is fine. But me as the dyslexic person, I'm like, oh shit, I gotta read through this whole fucking movie. Like, this is not cool. I came to
You came to
enjoy Marvel
relax, and now you're doing work.
movies. And like knowing it was a Marvel movie, I was like, oh, am I gonna have to read through this whole movie? This is gonna suck for me because I had to either read the subtitles or watch the picture, and which I would like to do both. I try to do both, but it's like impossible. I'm focusing on the words, and then when I go to look at the picture, it was a little blurry for me. I don't know if it's just because of my aging, but I've always had good vision for the most part. So,
Yeah.
but
No,
You're wrong, Sterling. Bye.
right.
I'm out of here. Where's my phone?
okay, but that's,
I
I'm not discounting any of that. But that's a whole other argument from what I'm trying to say. And I'm just trying to say that in the story, it completely makes sense why they would speak Chinese for that first section of it. So
right, and it doesn't bother me. I'm just
yeah,
glad I didn't have to read through the whole movie.
Yeah.
yeah. Okay.
Anyway,
Yeah.
I'll let you guys do.
All right, and if anyone else wants to call in, the phones are lighting up and comments and concerns. No,
Hey,
I see what Sterling. No, I think that was a good firsthand experience.
Yeah.
But I see what Sterling's saying. It's like a separate. It's almost separate in filmmaking in general as opposed to the movie. But that being said, the cheese for me started when they fought and the music and the camera slowed down and anime style showed them looking at each other in a slow spin when they were fighting.
Who?
Yeah, no, it's cheesy.
The parents. But see, here's the thing.
Um,
The reason it didn't bother me, to me, they were setting up the tone of the movie, which was that this isn't, if it is an homage, I'm just gonna warn you guys. It's been storming here. Last night it stormed and I lost power for a little bit. So
okay.
if this thing cuts cold, the audience will know what happened. But I guess what I'm saying is I do think the opening scene with him in the forest and stuff, it was kind of setting the fantasy stuff up. The problem was the problem was to me the hand-to-hand combat kung fu was so good that when it got to the point where it was dragons and laser bolts, I was a little bit just like, man, like even when him and his dad fought, which was actually pretty awesome. I do agree. It was really cool. It still like was a little more like, it turned a little more Marvel. It was a little more like big jumps, powerful fists. And I was like, this is Shang Chi. I want to see Kung Fu fighting. Cut
Yeah,
that out. Cut that out.
but
Can we,
this one.
Matt, cut that out, please. That was embarrassing. It was just like
Well,
that scene in Wayne's World when he literally says that exact line and then he goes, ooh. I'll play the clip right now.
okay, but I'll just say this, Matt. I get what you're saying. Like the kung fu, I prefer the kung fu, but if I'm just taking the magic stuff by itself, I think visually the magic would really look really cool,
Yeah.
and I think um, I think just overall the CGI effects with the dragon and the soul eating beast, whatever that was, I thought that was awesome. Like I really thought the
Yeah.
scale of that fight between those two monsters was great.
Yeah.
And I love the way Shang-Chi kills the monster too. Like
It was
it
badass.
it was so badass the way he did it. Like, oh, it was like a Kame Ka, like Dragon Ball
Yeah.
Z. Like,
Yeah. See, here's what, yeah, it took me a second, but it was a trade-off for me. It's like, okay, there's less kung fu, but I mean, some of the effects the stuff they did, like, the dad actually did it earlier in the movie where he like would step on in a battle, he like stepped on the rings and did like a
yeah,
flip. And then Shang-Chi like really, took it to the next level. He's like running on them in the air and jumping onto the dragon and that visually there was a lot of really cool shots in this movie.
oh,
Not just
yeah,
the imagery, but I just mean like literally the way they did the cinematography, because there was like a tracking shot of him flipping through the air, fighting the things in the air, running on the rings, jumping onto the dragon, then jumping down to the monster, and it was all like one thing, like tracking him. And they also did it. Probably my favorite scene in the movie is when they're fighting on the side of the building, and he's fighting all of the
yeah,
guys, and then Aquafina's character's like falling on the bamboo thing, and then they just have that badass shot where he's just like whooping ass, going to her and barely saves her at the last second. That was probably my
yeah.
favorite shot of the whole movie. It was so cool.
Oh,
I'm getting rock
oh,
hard, boys. You got me back.
Well, I coming out of the theater, I didn't. It took me a couple, minutes to realize how fantasy it was in the second half. Like, because I was so into the movie, I kind of liked what I was watching. But like, that was really because I heard that it was kind of fantasy, first fantasy movie in March. That really was because, like you said, Narnia. That was pretty funny. Um, I love the big tigers. I love how they gets hit with a shocking like thing and it didn't even do anything. And it
Oh, that was
called the guy
great.
across the
That
field.
was fun.
That
That
was
was
cool.
good.
But you're right. The first half was so good with the combat. Why in the world they would even think about going away from it is crazy. That's a big knock on this movie because yeah, they were just shooting like these electric things to tase people. Like really, that was a bad
It
idea.
was
Like very bad idea.
it was ambitious, everything they did at the end of the movie, and I'll say this, it could have been a colossal fuck up, right? It could have been a huge jumping of the shark. The fact that they pulled it off, though, because I agree, obviously we agree, like the kung fu stuff is the bread and butter of the movie to me, but it's sort of like I said, it's like transitioning. It's like, okay, I was watching, The Matrix, and now I'm watching Harry Potter, right? It's like they're both good. It took me a second to go, okay, I'm watching this now. And once I did and settled in, it is good. But yeah, it was ambitious, and I think for the most part they pulled it off. The fantasy world was really cool looking. I mean, the visuals when they're having that
Yeah.
last huge battle, like wherever this kingdom is, basically they're in, is like really cool looking.
Different dimension. Yeah, it was pretty
I
neat.
will say this: there were several times throughout the movie where
Don't
I
say
could
it.
not believe the CG was as bad as it was. There's a few times that I was like, maybe their budget wasn't big, and they weren't confident in this movie because they maybe took the $10 million out of their budget because like some of the stuff jumping on the dragon, like them riding the dragon, didn't look good. Like, I mean, I'm sorry, guys. I guess I'm heel this time because I got high expectations for
Yeah,
Marvel.
very
They
high.
did it to themselves. They did it to
No, I'm
themselves.
with you. I mean, I think it's like I always talk about,
It
like
wasn't
Thor.
horrible.
Thor Ragnarok has some of the worst CG. Like there's literally scenes. While this isn't like I'm looking the analysis on YouTube, but there was something about Marvel where it got to the point where they're like, look, we need to crank these movies out. And Thor Ragnarok was the first one I remember seeing where what's Hela, the sister, she comes through the portal. It's when they're sitting there talking to
Oh
Odin,
yeah,
and there's a part where she comes in and the dagger she has, I know that's her power. They appear out of nowhere, but the tracking wasn't
worst
even.
villain.
The
One of the worst
tracking
villains
was
ever.
bad. Like, and what I mean by that is like, you have an item in your hand and you want it to stay in your hand. Let's say these glasses are CG. You don't want it to be like doing that. And that's what her daggers were doing. And I was like,
What is
how?
that?
I'm like, I'm
Why?
seeing this the first time in the movie. I'm looking at the effects here. Anyway, that being said, I disagree with you. I think the visuals were pretty good in this.
Okay.
There's only two
You
things I noticed visually that were kind of off,
Fuck both of
and
you. Fuck
usually
both of you.
no. I'm saying like the actual visual effects, like with the motion and the big creatures, that was great. But there are times you can tell when they're in front of a green screen. I definitely noticed that a couple times.
A
thank
lot.
you.
Am I wrong? But a lot of times it was when they were on that green field fighting in the other dimension,
Yeah,
because that's where I
well,
noticed it too.
yeah. So
You guys convinced me.
no. But you can find that in any big budget movie. I feel
Yeah,
like I don't even think it's Marvel.
I didn't see it in
but
Taxi Driver.
That was actually a real city, numbnuts.
That's how it really convinced you. Wow, what a doofus.
now
That was New York City.
you noticed the Thor Ragnarok one, and I noticed. To me,
Yeah,
I
you're
noticed
right.
some stuff in here. So
I can actually see probably what you're talking about, for sure, and it'll be worth a rewatch. Speaking of
nitpick.
speaking of the battle on the plane, there's a couple of things that transpire that I don't like. They'll give you that look. I just mean when they're fighting outside of that temple in the other dimension.
Okay.
So, first of all, we were talking about the lack of. I thought this was gonna be. We really only had one sequence of this actual battle happening between these two people, right? We have the lion and he hits him and he hits the guy and the girl fighting and she's shooting the thing and he's doing kung fu, right? After that like minute or two, it's all Shang-Chi fighting the dad and anything else that's happening between the two where Awkwafina's like, I thought you knew where he was and all of that. You're really just seeing some people kind of fighting in the background and you're not actually seeing any more of that battle happening until they team up. And I was a little disappointed because I just wanted to see a little more, like, once again, some more fighting. But the real disappointment in this battle to me was they set up this badass character who helps train Shang-Chi, who has the mask. And talk about letting a character fall flat. There was no big battle with him. Like, I think one of the ladies fights him a little bit, right?
Yeah.
Well, Shang-Chi does. a little too.
Well, he fights him in the building, right?
Yeah,
But to me, the battle got cut off because the dad walked in, and I was like,
yeah,
this has to come to fruition somehow. And then I
yeah.
understand they're making their point. This is a powerful guy, and his soul's getting sucked out. I mean, these guys are no joke or whatever. But I was like, this guy, I thought this was going to be this really cool character, this like silent assassin character, and it was disappointing to me that like he never had a really cool battle at the end, and he just died really fast. And I was like, and I actually thought, I'm like, this is Marvel. I thought at the very end credits he was going to lift his mask off. It was going to be some other character, someone we knew, like, you know what I mean?
I thought it was going to be the mom. For some weird reason, I was like,
that would
I thought
be crazy.
because when he was going to stab it in the face before the dad showed up, it was like trying to say, like, you know, and like you'd see its eyes kind of get big, you know.
Yeah.
I'm like, I thought it was teasing something like big
Me
some
too.
big reveal.
I thought there was going to be some kind of reveal, and I was disappointed.
Yeah.
Also, Razor Fist, the sword guy, pretty cool character. He didn't necessarily have any cool moments in the last battle either. He
oh no,
you know, it showed him cutting some birds up, and he put the dragon sword on, which was pretty cool. But that guy didn't have necessarily any really cool battle at the end either. He had the bus scene was really the most he had a cool sequence. So
I think we agree. Like they dropped the ball.
There's a little nitpick, but yeah, they dropped the ball on those guys.
Yeah, the whole battle, other than seeing the dad.
Yeah.
Well, okay. Well, but that was the whole thing to me that I thought was the most important was the dad, Shang-Chi, and his sister.
You're right.
I agree with you that the battle could have been more developed. But
maybe there is. Maybe we got to wait for the director's cut or something. But you know, maybe they had to cut some shit out so they could make room for more flashbacks.
How, like he does what his mom does in the beginning. He grabs control of some of the rings, but he instantly knows how to use them, and just to push the plot forward, whatever. But we like the post credit shows, we don't know what they are, which was the first post credit scene was amazing.
Yeah,
first one.
Yeah, there was a second one.
What's the second one?
Oh, the sister takes over the empire. She. Another thing that I told Amanda, I'm like, oh, here we go again. The sister's gonna be a bad guy now. She's taking over. I was like, Marvel has too much stuff to juggle. Why the hell are they doing this? I was really pissed off.
Yeah,
I was like, there's one more thing. They got the Fantastic Four to bring in. They got X-Men to bring in. They got Deadpool to bring in.
Yeah, just let there be one linear thing. Let there be one thing that's just one thing, you know?
Why do we need to have so much stuff?
Okay, Trey,
why? You love it and you're going to watch all of it. So don't come
I will, but there's too much stuff.
I didn't take the second post-credit scene as she was going to be a villain. I did not take it that way.
Do you see how she sat there like, let's get started? You know, come on. And had all our goons with her?
Yeah.
We
didn't see that, by the way. We just saw the first one.
Okay. Sterling, let's tell Matt.
Explain it to
shows
me.
Up, it looks like she's cleaning her room at the compound.
Yeah.
Someone grabs her. She comes in. They sit down. And then she's like, let's begin. And it shows them training a whole bunch of new ninjas. And it zooms out and they're spray painting the whole place. And it says the 10 Rings will return. So they're going to be a TV show. Too much crap. I want more Loki. I want more Avengers. I want Fantastic Four with the two beautiful human beings that everybody wants to be. I want everything except for the 10 Rings.
Okay. Anyway,
get them out of here.
To me, it wasn't explicit as far as she's going to be a new villain. I didn't take it that way. I took it as she's putting her stamp. She's putting her own kind of signature on the compound. And
she's pissed at her.
Well,
she's pissed at
Why would she be a villain? I don't understand.
Yeah, they
Why is she pissed at the brother?
Because he abandoned her.
They reconciled that. They reconciled that in the movie. Yes,
they did, Trey.
It was a big scene.
They did, Trey.
I missed it. Then I was sleeping. What they do? Did they hug it out?
Well, you were looking at the CGI testicles on the damn dragon, but she's holding her. She's holding her, and you think it's going to be a scene where she dies, and he could let her go and let her die, and she goes, "I'm not abandoning you again."
Yeah.
Reconciliation,
They do
baby.
that. They do it all the time to trick you. Don't let the movie trick you. And just because they came together to take on the jerk off dad doesn't mean they're best friends.
That's true. We actually don't know the ethics or morals of the sister. We know that she's helping the
Yeah.
brother to take down
Yeah.
the dad, but in homage to her mom. But we don't know what she started a whole fight club in Hong Kong or whatever.
Yep.
So,
Yeah.
Well, let's talk about that first credit scene though. I loved it.
yeah, I wanted
I
to
thought
get
it was
into that.
Bruce Banner's human again. My theory is I told Amanda, I said there's Hulk and there's him. There's two separate.
They
could
did
be
the
talking to each other.
separation. Yeah.
I think it's a full separate. I don't know why they're doing it. Maybe because people crapped on the Nerd Hulk, which I like, but they should have done more with it in an Endgame. That was one of the only negatives of Endgame for me. Not him having one good shot at Thanos.
In
But
shame.
in what?
In shame.
Endgame. Yeah. And is that what you're trying to do?
I was trying to make a
But
joke,
what
like
is
it
your
was a
theory?
shame, like an
That's
in shame instead of in game.
but
Sorry, go
that's
ahead.
my theory. What do you guys think about Banner being human again?
I gotta be honest, I did not even think about that watching it. I was just like, oh yeah, cool, we got some cameos here. I honestly did not even think about the fact that he wasn't Hulk. So now
Yeah.
that you
I
said that,
looked
it's
it
kind
up.
of blowing my mind.
It's after Endgame. I looked it up.
Yeah,
It
he
is
has the
after. It's
cast,
after.
which is weird. He had the
Yep.
cast still. My thought
Yeah.
is, I think you're right. I think that's the best guess that they separated the Hulk out of Banner. Although everyone loves him as Hulk, so if they separate him, because think about this: if they separate him, that's a cool story. But
Yep.
if Mark Ruffalo wants to continue being Hulk and the fans want to see him as Hulk, then what are they going to do? Integrate them again later?
Yeah.
And if they don't, what? Bruce
Hey.
Banner's just hanging around doing
I'll just
professor
make a
stuff?
buddy
Come
cop.
on.
He could die now. He can die now. That's my thing. Like
We'll make a buddy cop movie between the both of them. It'll be
that
fun.
would be funny. What do you
Yeah.
think, Sterling? Do you think they either separate or he's just back to normal, going back and forth?
No, I think I think he's probably separated just because it would make
Ooh.
sense since he was
Yeah,
fully the Hulk
It's
in
a
in game.
yeah. It's a good way to
okay.
set up Mark Ruffalo being able to move on if he wants to, and the Hulk lives on.
Yeah.
So I see that.
But
And Warren.
well, having Wong was great. I thought that was a good
Yeah,
cameo.
fighting Abomination. That was interesting.
Yeah,
Actually,
but
wait a minute. If he was fighting Abomination, and we have why also there's the reference at the end that Hulk separated. I mean, are they setting up the next Hulk movie? And those are the clues. I'm saying if
Yeah.
okay, this is on tape, people. If
Well-
these two factors come together in the future,
okay.
I'm
Venmo
looking
me
it up now.
$2.
In
I'm
the
looking up
spirit of,
Abomination now.
in the spirit of speculation,
Oh,
going back to the first credit scene, when they're talking about the origins of the Ten Rings, and they're saying that it sent a signal to what they didn't even say where it sent the signal to, right?
yeah.
It was like what could that be? Could that have something to do with Galactus? Could that have something to do with like a Celestial or the Eternals? Like I don't know. Like it definitely made me think a lot about the future.
My guess is Wong. Wong is Wong an Eternal because he's in the Eternals trailer.
Is he?
Yeah, he's
Who, what's that?
Wong is in the Eternals trailer.
Did not know that. Okay.
So I don't know if he is one of the Eternals or what.
No, that's another Asian actor.
Well, okay. I'm not. I know you guys are gonna be like, I know you guys are gonna call me out on it. No, the guy is using. He has the same outfit and he's using the powers. Like he's using the Doctor Strange powers.
Are you talking about him?
Maybe.
He's an Eternal, that guy.
No, but I'm saying in that trailer, I swear it shows Wong. I'm not saying it's one of the Eternals.
I want to say this though. I think it said the director was saying that is Abomination. It looks way different than the actual Abomination.
Yeah.
Yeah, it doesn't look like anything like Abomination. This looks like a fish. It looks like a fish. Like a weird.
You said
But I
the
guess
director-
it has a spine. It has the spine on it.
Yeah,
All right. I guess it is I think it's a different guy, but I swear there's a part in it where it shows him using the powers. That's why I thought it was. I didn't think
yeah,
that when it showed that guy in the armor, the Eternal guy, I was like, yeah, that's a different guy. When they have the conversation and everything in the room. But there was just a shot because we just saw it in theaters where I swear someone was using that like familiar Doctor Strange style magic, but maybe I'm wrong.
no, I
Um,
mean it's fine. It's all all Asian people look the same.
Here we
But
go. Yeah.
But no,
No, so anyway,
I,
at the end of the movie, the after credits when Shang-Chi, Aquafina, and Jackie Chan are sitting there around the table,
oh my God,
they
yes.
was that not Jackie? Was that not Jackie Chan? Oh God, cut
I'm
that
gonna drink my
out.
juice
Cut it
and just
out. No,
pretend it's
okay.
never happened.
I'm sorry. I was making fun of myself. No, this scene they're saying we don't even know what it is. It sent out a signal when you collected the ring. So does that mean that Shang-Chi, it makes you wonder, do they have something to do with the Taulo? Because the other guy had him for 5,000 years or whatever, right? And he was like the ultimate power. And then some chick from Taulo takes him off his hands immediately. And so then Shang-Chi learns that airbending method. He takes the
Yeah,
rings, they turn a different color. All of a sudden they're like, we got a signal. So does it have something to do with with this specific realm that they're in?
it could. It could have something to do with that. Maybe I don't know. Maybe like Kang the Conqueror has something to do with it.
Yeah, that
I
could
don't
be
know.
cool. Well, have you guys been watching What If, by the way?
I
The
missed the
first
last
three
few
episodes.
episodes.
What? You guys talked at the same time.
First three episodes. I've seen the
Same
first three.
here.
Yeah.
Thanos.
Go watch the fourth episode because I don't want to spoil anything, but I'm not saying it ties into Shang-Chi, but for this type of speculation shit we're doing, there's some interesting stuff that happens that makes you go. But
Yeah.
like because Wong is in it and Doctor Strange is as well, and it's I'll say, well, I'll just, you guys watch it. It's really good. It's really good.
Okay,
Episode
we'll
4 is
watch it.
really good. It's called, and I'll just tell you the title if you haven't seen it already. It's called "What If Doctor Strange Lost His Heart Instead of His Hands," and
Oh.
it might be my favorite What If episode so far.
All right.
But anyway, there's some stuff in that leads me to believe that there is definitely, and obviously we have Spider-Man coming out with Doctor Strange. There's a lot of multiverse stuff going on.
Yes.
I think
Yep.
this is my thought, and tell me guys what you think. I haven't read anything, so I might look like a dummy here as far as a Marvel fan, but it seems like they're doing a lot of stuff. The new Spider-Man trailer, we got Doc Ock and stuff. They're doing the merging the realities. Doctor Strange's next one is Multiverse of Madness. We have the What If series, and like I said, if you watch the newest episode, it kind of starts getting a little deeper than just oh, here's a cool story. It starts getting a little bit like, oh, okay, this is really tied to Marvel pretty close. So, but basically multiple universes being more and more of a thing, and then Loki, all this different stuff. I think what we're gonna lead up to is how they're gonna introduce Fantastic Four and stuff.
Yeah.
I think it's gonna be they're gonna come from a different, because we would have heard about mutants and stuff already. And I think that's how they're going to do it. And this is going to be a lot of build up to Fantastic Four and a lot of
That's
the other
Excellent.
Fox things.
That's yeah, great theory. I love that.
Yeah, that's probably probably the best guess because yeah, that's probably why Banner and Carol Danvers, they have no idea where these rings are from because
They're
they're
from a
from a
different
completely
dimension.
different universe.
Yeah.
So
But they, I here's would be a pushback there. Just like in the Loki show, you've seen it, right, Sterling and Matt?
Yeah.
You've seen the whole show?
No.
Really?
I've seen like 4 episodes.
Okay, so that you've seen what I'm talking about, where they like Loki is captured and he finds all the Infinity Stones.
Yeah.
And like, oh yeah, we use them as paperweights.
Right.
So they pretty well explain that you can't transfer different powers to different universes. So
Right.
I wouldn't think that the rings are more powerful than an Infinity Stone. I mean, that would be kind of weird.
They
to me,
also,
unless they're real weapons.
you're right.
Maybe
You're right. You just made me think of something. You guys were talking about Kang the Conqueror, and then of course you have the TVA. Um,
Mhm.
Time travel is also a thing that's now part of the universe that creates these multiple realities, right? Because you can have a time travel incident that branches off and makes multiple realities. They fix it in the TVA. So what? And then Kang the Conqueror is a time traveler. He
Yeah.
right. So I don't know a ton about Kang, but I read up a little bit about
in the
it. And
comics.
I know he's that. He's a time traveler, which is why it makes sense that the time travel could lead to that. What if the rings are, even if, let's say the rings may not, what if they're from the future? They're not as old as you think. They're actually, they're not old at all, or something like that. Or maybe they're
Yeah.
really old. I don't know.
No, that's
I
a great. I like that too.
I think this was one of the better post credit scenes because it creates so
Yes.
much
Yeah, you can.
possibility and speculation.
I know we've
Yeah,
probably.
Banner. Yeah, so much.
And
I mean,
even though it's cheesy, it was kind of funny a little bit them doing karaoke together.
that's what I
Anyway,
was gonna say. Like the
That was
karaoke. I
funny.
mean, I love the karaoke.
That was a good moment. Yeah.
It was
Um.
hysterical. I liked it in the beginning, and then I love how they brought the friends back. Like you
Yeah,
gotta
me
do something
too.
in your life.
Well, Christy
And
Christy said that she didn't like the first scene where they're talking to the friend. She was like, and I kind of was agreed with her. I was like, this is a little weird, or it's a little too. This is when I started going, okay, this is a little too long, or whatever. But then you realize that later when they do the callback where they're talking to the friends again and they're saying, "Oh, we got it. We have all this shit going on in our lives, but it's bullshit." And then Wong just showing up and downing the liquor real
he
quick.
drinks it.
Yeah, that was ended up making it all worth it, and it was a good callback.
yeah.
Well, no. Do you have any more nitpicks, Matt? Because I love your nitpicks. Because I agree with them all the time. Like
I'm
it's
not.
Christy. She
I
always
do.
has.
Her nitpicks are like the tiny cracks that destroy the whole movie for me. So I gotta. She's always got these great nitpicks, but no, I don't think any nitpicks she had was the same ones I probably said. I will say this: cherry picks. If you look in the background of Shang Chi's apartment, he has a Kung Fu Hustle poster, which we should watch on the Schmucks sometime because that's like one of my favorite Kung Fu great movie. He had another poster, and I can't remember what it was, but it was some specific old movie. And I was like, I can kind of see like this movie being inspired a little bit by that. And it was almost like if you combine the two posters together. And I can't remember what the other movie was now.
The mother's kind of airbending moves did kind of remind me of the goalie from Shaolin Soccer. I thought that.
Yeah, I thought you were gonna say Avatar because I know we've been saying airbending, but like, I mean, it's too on the nose probably, but it really was like, really close to Avatar. But no, I don't think I have any more nitpicks, cherry picks, or dick picks.
I've got a couple.
Wow.
So one of them was you know how they're guarding the dark portal or whatever? They're supposed to be the guardians of it. How come whenever a whole army's attacking, they have no one stationed right by the portal? It's like,
oh shit.
I would say because it talks to people. Maybe if they get too close, they don't want them to get sucked in and help them get out.
Maybe.
On top of that, the guy just breaks the dragon scales. They're keeping it closed, right? And then a simple cave-in on the mountain just keeps it closed forever now. Like, they didn't explain exactly where it went. Was there more huge creatures in there? Once they destroyed the one, were they good? It was weird because more little creatures were coming out. And then he just kind of shot some rings in it. I'm like, could they? Oh, so rocks. So apparently, just normal rocks are better than dragon scales. I mean, maybe we'll see more with that opening later. But
that's funny.
Also, the second nitpick I have, even though it was a cool moment eventually with the dragon coming up with Shang Chi, how come the dragon, who's called the Great Protector, how come it didn't stop Shang-Chi's dad when he was like jumping in the air towards the portal. Why did it have to wait? Anyway, that's just a small nitpick, but it just I don't know.
I'm with you,
It
Ellie.
caught my
That
eye.
look,
Plot armor. It's called plot armor,
I and that's why
and I hate it.
I roll with it. Okay, that's why I roll with it.
And I hate plot armor.
even better than dragon armor.
No, I love dragon armor. Shut up.
I don't know what the hell I'm talking about.
Oh,
Trey, you
Oh my
gotta have more
God,
nitpicks. Come
I've
on,
only got
baby.
5 spots.
Come on, I know you got a
you
juicy
know,
one saved up. Come on, baby.
well, I gave it to you is
Oh yeah.
when he came out. I'm like, I gave you the big juicy one at first just to get us rolling because
Oh
my
yeah.
God, I'm like I said earlier, is this the never-ending story? I loved that when I was a kid, but give me 2 breaks of a Kit Kat bar. This is
Shang
Marvel, all
Shang
right. This
Chi.
this is in 1983 with the original Narnia and the original Never-Ending Story Part Two. Like, get out of here! I was so mad, and the CGI with them hanging onto the dragon and them jumping around. Like, why do we need to be riding a dragon?
They need to
It's
Okay,
way
do.
yeah.
they took the park on the fantasy. That's all I know.
They should have someone needs to do an edit of the original movie when they're going Atreyu Falcor, but just have it go Shang Chi Falcor, and just edit him on there.
Whew. Uh,
I love fantasy.
you love fantasy? Is that what you said?
I do. I love
Well,
it.
here I'll say this. Even though there was some one gigantic nitpick, I really enjoyed this movie overall. Like you said, the battle of the dad. Even though it was kind of because we still don't know much about the rings and what they really are or do. You know, we can see what they're like a magnet, like a magnet field or whatever. You know, whatever. You know, it was weird, but I was into it because I liked the characters. I wanted him. I wanted the dad to die. I wanted the son, to Shang Chi, to win and become and take the rings, take be the take on the mother's heart, you know, the goodness of his mother, which he did. So it achieved that. So overall, I mean, I really enjoyed this movie. I'm thinking about going to see it again just to see if there's any more nitpicks or if I can get over it because I there's been plenty of movies in my life that I've seen either years later or seen again, you know, fairly soon after that, and I'm like, oh, you know what, I got over that, or I actually really enjoyed that. But yeah, really a good Marvel movie. There, most of them are good. There's a couple that aren't, but yeah,
Um,
very
I
enjoyable.
I agree. I think it was really enjoyable. I would definitely watch it again. I one thing I forgot to say is I actually did really like the dad because character as a bad guy because it was a pretty good and compelling story where he just like really couldn't move on without the wife and he and you I think that the
Yeah.
acting and everything was good because the ending scene when he's getting his soul sucked out, the look that he gives the son when that kind of look where he just kind of knows, oh man, like I messed up is pretty tragic, especially with his story. So they actually gave me a lot of sympathy toward the dad, even though he was such a brutal character. But yeah, I thought it was a great movie. The kung fu was great. The cinematography was above average for a Marvel movie for sure on a lot of the sequences. And I am hoping that Marvel acquires New Line Cinema and that we figure out that the rings are the 9 rings of men and the 1 ring to rule them all. And because I think this would be the way to tie in the Lord of the Rings universe.
Multiverse, baby. Yeah.
Oh, that was good. That was good.
Um, okay, so I really enjoyed this movie a lot. I think the fantasy, I love fantasy, so I liked it more than you guys. But um, I also think just character wise, I think the motivations for each character were pretty solid. I can't really think of anything the characters did that was out of their character or outside or that their motivations didn't make any sense. Like just like Matt said, the father, I really liked his character a lot because not only was he easy to sympathize with, but also his motivations made sense. And to me, that's where the flashbacks help the overall story, especially with the flashbacks with Shang-Chi's dad, because when he gets to that final scene where he his soul's getting sucked and he gives the rings, that did kind of touch me a little bit emotionally. And so that was a good payoff emotionally. And I think overall, like, it did a really good job kind of using the time with the flashbacks with his mother as well, and just kind of building that overall connection with the family. And I think that made it a kind of above average experience for me. So yeah, and the martial arts were great. The way it was filmed is great, and to me, it's the standard. John Wick, this movie, like, just get good martial artists and don't use a lot of jump cuts, and you're good. And that's what they should do. And
Yeah.
yeah, overall, really, really good movie. I enjoyed the hell out of it.
Awesome.
So,
Very good.
well,
yeah.
Trent, do you want me to sign out, or do you
Go
want
ahead.
to?
Shoot it up.
Yes, sign it out, sign it up, and
All right.
shut it
Well,
down.
honestly, this wasn't that contentious of an episode. I mean, there were some things that were, I guess, debatable, but overall, I'm pleasantly surprised to see that we all enjoyed the movie. And comments, let us know what you thought. Nostalgia is real. Abby J, please, we want to hear your feedback. We want to hear one of us was too wishy-washy, whatever. It helps the algorithm. So anyway, though, comment, like, subscribe, and thank you for tuning in to another episode of the Film Schmucks.
Trey, you want to say our infamous last line?